Welcome back to the next episode of Perspectives with Jeremiah Stephenson. I'm your host, Jeremiah Stephenson, and we're going to get right into it after I give you a few little notes. I've been away for the last month. I know I've been off schedule. Got myself and Tony Demil. He's sitting right here with us. How you doing today, Tony?
Good, real good.
I'm actually getting back into my YouTube stuff, so that should be out. Check my YouTube channel, A Tokens Take, ATOKEN''S. TAKE on YouTube towards the end of September for some more new content. But let's jump right into it. How's it going, Tony?
Good, man.
Awesome.
Everything's real good, dude.
Yeah. Tony is an actor and a teacher. Mm-hmm. What do you do as a teacher?
Well, I teach classes at Get Scene. I teach like Meisner and like Stanislavski scene breakdown. Mm-hmm. I find a lot of actors do not have a process for how to like break down a scene. Mm-hmm. You'll be like, oh, like what did you do in the scene? They're like, oh, I mean, what do you mean? Mm-hmm.
They don't really build that backstory and that.
Acting class is not teaching people how to wing it. People already know how to wing it.
Yeah.
People need to know like a process of how to break down a scene. Just like in college, you learn how to dissect a story. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? A writer. I mean, there's different theories, you know. You can just write, but you can also, it's good to study writing too.
Absolutely, for sure.
You know, but mostly the thing that I try to teach people as a teacher is how to be fully human and like how to be free.
And not to be a caricature is like one of the biggest things, because you see that a lot.
I don't even mean just in acting. I just mean like to be free.
Yeah.
So many people are like, oh, I can't tell you how many people in their 20s are like, oh, my mom this, my mom that. I'm like, your mom and dad are going to be dead in 40 years, and you're going to be 40, and what will it have all been for? Because they're dead now.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Who did you live your life for?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
One of the things growing up and kind of on my way to Atlanta, my thing was like, I was like, who am I? What's my story? Like, what is my story? And I was homeschooled all the way through, and my mom was sick growing up. So a lot of my story was composed of her and like her story and taking care of my younger siblings and taking care of her. And then I moved out, and then things kind of went to shit, and then she passed away. Yeah. So that process of right after she passed away and kind of finding myself and who I was and what I was trying to do next, that really hit all of a sudden, because all of that was unexpected. So the last 3 years, it's been like, oh, wow. Like even before she passed, I see all the things that I was doing, especially within film, even though it was Brunswick, Georgia, it was a small town. Like I did these things on my own. And then it got me to where I am today. So I definitely agree with that. That's a really cool thought.
Well, and I also think that it's funny because as much as we are like our story, we're also like not.
You can,
because we're not anything. We're just like beings that can be whatever we want. And we're just like, we walk around being like, oh man, everybody always cheats on me, or like I can't trust anybody. You're like, I mean, that's the past.
Yeah.
You can literally recreate your life right now. You can be like, you know what? And people do it all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? So you said it. Who are you, Tony, and what is your story?
That's a good question. You know, we grew up real poor and in Orlando. My dad left when I was really young, so it's hard for me to talk about without getting emotional.
Okay. It's totally fine. No, this is a safe space. I hate saying safe space, but like this is like you're in company. Like you can talk about it as much as you want to. You don't have to.
Sure.
But yeah, like however you feel.
Well, we had a nice childhood because my mom was very like loving and stuff like that, and you know. So it was just her and us, and then my older sister. But my older sister kind of moved out to go live with her dad for a couple of years, and so I was 9 then. So we didn't really get to know her super well. But
how many siblings did you have?
Twin brother.
Oh, what? Oh, wait, no, I have seen the Instagram pictures.
Yeah. He's awesome. We had a fun childhood, and then my sister, and we had fun. She kept herself. She was 1 year older, but she did her own thing a lot, and we grew up in like a small town on Longwood. It'd be like kind of the equivalent of like if you grew up in Flowery Branch back in the day in the 80s. Okay. You know, it's pretty not that urban. I mean, rural, but it was definitely like more rural than suburban. It was like outside the neighborhoods, and there was like a lot of like green space where you could just walk around and get lost and stuff like that. So it was like a really fun childhood, and even though we didn't have like a lot of money, you know, when you're a kid, you don't know that. You don't know that until you're like middle school, and you're like, I remember realizing in 5th grade, you're like, oh, we don't like have like a nice car, and we don't like, and all these other people do. That was the biggest disparity, you know. It wasn't that we didn't have. We were definitely like struggling, but we were surrounded by people who were doing. Imagine growing up in like, not quite Buckhead, but like a Brookhaven type area, and your parents had no money.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like very, it's like a sore thumb. So it was always kind of a thing of like, I felt like definitely like the poor kid a little bit. Or the kids who were like, I don't know. I felt that otherness from a very young age.
Ooh, that's something that a lot of the guests on this show talk about, being that other.
Yeah.
And I very much resonate with that. I definitely resonate.
I wonder if we all just feel that.
I think so. I think to a certain, I was talking to my girlfriend recently. I was saying, I don't believe in normalcy. I don't think anyone's normal.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people live in the same kind of structure, and there's a lot of the same experiences, but even those experiences are very different for every person that experiences them.
Yeah, they actually say that if you do a brain scan of like 4 people or like 4 million people or whatever, there's no median. There's no like, they can't even actually find there's no median.
Yeah.
Meaning like that's literally crazy. Everybody is different enough to where it's not quantifiable as opposed to there's these kind of people and there's not.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what that means, but I think it's important I feel like the way you were formed very much informs the things you're going to need in the future.
Yeah.
Like I'm a really good actor because I've been through a lot of things. Do you know what I'm saying? I lived a real life. I never wanted to like be an actor. Do you know what I'm saying? I found it much later. So I just lived like a normal life. And then all these experiences I had and stuff like that, both positive and negative, like informed the characters I play. And it makes it so I can like access emotions and stuff.
You can draw from the experiences that you are, because at the end of the day, as an actor, you're supposed to be creating a human being, a full human being.
Yeah, and most of 90% of the time, my characters are very traumatic.
Yeah.
Backgrounds, because it's really easy to relate to, like people going through hard things and being like, oh well, that would make sense, that's why he's like this.
So what was high school like for you?
High school was cool. I felt like I fit in to a lot of different circles, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't, this feels like a therapy.
Oh really? Hey, this is great. It's okay.
Let me just touch on my childhood a minute. It was good. It was hard to see my mom struggling, but she was also very strong woman. And then my stepdad moved in and he was cool, but he's kind of a fucking asshole.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has enough of insecurities to make him like pretty emotionally abusive, especially as we got older when we didn't need him. I feel like a lot of times in life, I've really tried to stop doing. I used to do this with women. Yeah. Where I'd like find a girl who was impossible for me to get for some reason. Like she was a senior, let's say, and then pine after her. Because it's almost like you create this story of like, oh, I want to feel the pain of like never being able to, because it's actually safer than just being like, oh, well, why don't I just date this girl who likes me? And there's plenty of girls who like me. In high school, there's women everywhere, men everywhere, whatever. And so I think I've always lived in a fantasy land a little bit in that way. You know what I mean? Interestingly enough, but high school was good. Nice. I like I fit into like a lot of different kinds of circles. No one ever asked me about myself. It's really nice. Really? Yeah. I'm glad I was able. Well, because as a teacher, you're always like, "What do you like? What's going on with you? How can I help you?" Yes, I got and people don't normally ask me what's going on with me. You know, and I'm not doing scenes in class anymore. And by the time you get to set, the director's like, so like it's not like the movies. It's not like Tony. They don't have 20 minutes. Yeah. They're just like, give me more of this, less that.
Yeah. Like, let's get it.
Let's do it. We got to sell to Netflix next week. You got to get this thing edited,
Leading out of high school, what happened after high school? Was there college? Was there schooling of any kind? Was there just life?
I was in band in high school.
Okay. What'd you play?
Baritone and trombone.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. And so, of course, because I take myself seriously and I take the things I do seriously, you're just like, oh, well, obviously I'll be a music major, right? And I'll go study music and I'll go be in the symphony. And just because you think that's like the logical next step. Life is interesting in that way. I think I just think life is funny.
No, it is, absolutely.
I think life is like, amazingly like feels like destiny, but then also is very contradictory.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, for example, I'm just going to be honest about this.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, we had a great rotation. I had an amazing in the moment class. I had an amazing foundations class. No one's signing up for my in the moment class right now.
Really?
I don't know why. And we literally have 12 people in my foundations class who are just like, yeah, I have a bunch of stuff going on right now, or I'm poor, or I'm about to start school, I'm about to move, or I'm going to France, or I'm doing this. And I'm like, we have like 2 signups of possible like 18 people.
Yeah.
This has never happened. So I'm just like, and quite frankly, I've been praying for like, I'm like, God, honestly, I wouldn't mind to book a big job and take some time off teaching.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of happening by default.
Awesome.
And, I talked to Jesse today. I'm just like, let's just call it and let's just teach. We talked about it and we were like, yeah, we could scrounge up some people and get 6 people. I mean, I have 100 and 200 people who pass through my... I guess what I'm trying to say is like, it's crazy to me. So the only explanation is I want this.
Yes.
Because I need some time off because something good is going to come.
And you're also going with the flow. You're flowing with the moments of life. And what is desired within you is actually coming to fruition. And so like, by putting it out there in the world and the universe, it's all starting to come together. Yeah.
And interestingly, like people's responses are like, no, I don't know, not right now. It's literally like, I'm going to take the one in October. I literally hit 5 people up there like October. I'm just like, that must be the answer. Why am I trying to fight this? Because you try to fight it and then something good happens and all of a sudden you're trying to juggle a series regular, which is my dream, or 5 episodes on the show, which would also be very nice, right? And then 2 classes instead of like, look, let's just deal with the classes that we're going to have and not try to force this other thing. Because every time you try to force something, it turns into shit.
Yeah.
So
college. Did you go to college?
I did.
It's okay. It's totally fine. I love jumping around.
Okay,
but
great.
I think that's good because every time we jump around, it starts a stream of consciousness that the reason why I have this show is people need to hear other people's stories.
Sure.
People need to hear other people's perspectives in the world. So I'm not going to stop you on any of those, but I'll always bring us back.
Great.
And then we can go again to something else.
Okay, perfect.
We got an hour. It's amazing.
I love it.
It's so fun.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
So
I went to Stephenson University. I went to study music and, I never fit in the school of music. The people were very different than me. It's so funny because I said in high school I fit into a bunch of groups, but I never quite felt like this is where I belong in this group.
Right.
The only time I ever felt like that was like when I was hanging out with the band director. I'm like, oh, I connect with you. I like, weirdly, one thing my parents did give me is this like ability to relate to like, I was always great with talking to people's parents.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
there's this girl that I liked when I was younger and she did not give a shit about me, but her parents freaking loved me. And I was like, what the hell?
I know. I'm good with people's parents.
Yeah.
So anyway, college was like weird and the first year and I just didn't fit in. And I was like, I felt like they were very nerdy and uptight. And I did not relate to them. And I I joined a fraternity because these were like guys who were just like, I'd be like, ugh, and they were like, cool, you're cool. Yeah, like we love you. And they took me. It's so funny because people are like, oh, buy your friends or like there's all different kinds of fraternities.
Yeah.
Like you would have fit well in our fraternity.
Really? What fraternity was it?
ATO. At Stetson, yeah.
Okay.
So Alpha Tau Omega.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And it was a bunch of cool dudes who were just like, hey man, come as you are.
Nice.
The only thing that, we were young. So of course, like we judge people, but I didn't.
Really? That's awesome.
I did, but I wasn't like, you can't be friends with us because you're a nerd. I don't know why. I've just always felt that way.
I do this thing where I judge you when I first see you, and then I break it down when I start talking to you so I can build up to see if I kind of had discernment that was like, this is kind of what I pictured, or, you surprised me. That's cool.
Well, I've always been attracted to like the nerdy. I always wanted to be friends with like the guys who were nerdy or the guys who like didn't feel cool enough or for whatever reason. I've always like connected with that. But in my fraternity, to be fair, like we did not, even though we were all like not the cool guys, we were like still kind of, we didn't have nerds in there.
Yeah.
Like it was hard. You'd bring some guy who was cool and they were like, because there was still an immature mentality of like, he should go join this fraternity because they're kind of the nerds.
Yeah.
But I will say, for the most part, it was like come as you are. We really liked, and it wasn't nerdy so much. It was like when you met someone who couldn't fully be themselves. We were like, that's
because I found it's hard to connect with ingenuine people. Or it's not even ingenuine. I don't even know if that's a word. But
disingenuous.
Disingenuous. Yes, thank you. Uh-huh. I can connect with them, but at a certain point, you kind of hit a wall, and it's like I want to go deeper in this friendship or this relationship. This is really cool, but you don't have the wherewithal within yourself to know.
If you're not comfortable with yourself, it's really hard to be like,
really,
cool, yeah, you're weird, but at least you know who you are.
Right, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Not as much as you can know who you are when you're
I don't say I don't think
18,
you ever
19.
stop learning. It's always waves just came into my head. It's just waves of who you are in different times in life. So my head's spinning now, and it's going off a little trail. I'll come back to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But how did college shape you in any type of way? Did it change? Not necessarily change, but did it kind of evolve you from the time you left high school and the time you left?
I think so. I think college is good in that it's a time for you to grow up. So I basically went from good student to second year. I was just oh, I'll study biology because my aunt was like, oh, you should be a doctor because her family gave a shit a lot about money for whatever reason. Because they didn't grow up with a lot of money,
right?
Which it totally makes sense. I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of people feel that way. And then I think I joined just a couple organizations where I was allowed to really come out of my shell. Nice. If I had a shell. I don't think I did, but it sort of encourage and foster that. I was on what was it called? CSA, Campus Student Activities or something like that.
That sounds right. I didn't go to college, so I wouldn't know.
Oh, you did?
No.
Anyway, we planned we planned guests who came to our school.
Okay.
So we'd sit down and be like, cool, let's get this person, let's get this person, let's get this person. And I actually got to introduce Tommy Davidson one time.
That name sounds really familiar.
He's short guy comedian, Wayans Brothers,
yes.
In Living Color.
Yes.
And, I did a couple pep rallies and I did stuff like that. So I came out of my shell in that way. And then in the fraternity, we had a couple Greek sings that we had to do where I did crazy things. And the fraternity allowed me to be fully silly and ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And I think that really helped me grow a lot. School...
it didn't even have to be the actual education, just the experience of college. Because I've met a lot of people. It's the
experience. It's not so much the schooling.
I've met two types of people where it's wow, the education really taught me things. I learned stuff. There's other people yeah, fuck that shit, bro. I just learned myself and how to live life and enjoy myself or hate myself. It's a very two-sided thing. Yeah. Here's
the other thing about having a college degree. I don't have this weird thing of I feel less than other people because now I'm just even if somebody has a doctorate, I'm just I don't give a fuck because it doesn't mean at a certain point, once you go for your doctorate, you're probably just that kind of person. Mm-hmm. It's someone's just oh, I really want to be a director. Cool, awesome. I don't. I don't want to write anything. I have no desire to write anything.
Well, it's knowing what you have a passion for.
Yeah.
Knowing what you have a passion for and knowing the steps you have to take to get that thing. But especially depending on how you go to get that thing, whatever it is, that can kind of shape and mold. It can kind of mold kind of the person that you are and the person that you become.
Yeah.
So, when did you start acting?
Well, cool. So I basically was in ROTC, and because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I met this cool guy named Keith Bryant, and he was like, "Oh, bro, you should join ROTC." And I'm sure he used a couple they were like, "We're gonna go run this race," and I think about it and I'm like, oh, they totally lied to me. They were like, we're going to go run this awesome race, the Marine Corps Marathon. And I was a runner at the time and he was running and we're going to take a helicopter up there. And I think back, I'm just that was all total bullshit.
Yeah.
And then, but it was cool. I mean, I was in ROTC and I was I don't know what I want to do. I'll go join the Army for a couple of years. I wasn't thinking about it. I was 19 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
I went to basic camp in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and it was pretend being in the Army. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you were with a bunch of college kids and you did all the Army things without it being that. Mm-hmm. They weren't super dicks to you if you did a good job. Okay. And then my junior year, I went and did advanced camp in Fort Lewis, Washington, and they were fucking assholes. Yeah. And so I had already started smoking weed. Mm-hmm. Before my junior year, so or sometime maybe it was spring break. Okay. Maybe I went to the Bahamas. It was just so stereotypical. Yeah. But we had a friend down there, and I started smoking. I think it was spring break, and so it was imagine waking up and being oh, I'm in the Army now.
Yeah.
And so that's what it felt like. But then at the time, you're just like, I mean, I guess I'm just in this and I don't know how it's going to play out. And, you know, whereas
Take me
now,
away, Uncle Sam.
Yeah. Whereas now you'd be like, oh yeah, I've had like a crisis of consciousness and I don't want to do this anymore because I don't believe in war.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
War is total fucking bullshit. Mm-hmm. War is, and I'm not talking about, I have total respect for soldiers who, anybody who's just like, I'll die to protect my country. Mm-hmm. The sad thing is the government sends them to go fight these wars that have nothing to do with anything besides increasing their own wealth. Yeah. Quite frankly. Mm-hmm. I would say there's probably 10% of the cases where it's just like, no, it's actually doing good. Let's say 20 to be fair. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, no, we got to get this guy out of here or something. But like, why are we manipulating all these other governments?
Why are we all over the world?
And if
we're friends.
Yeah, and we are, and you're like, why are all these countries in terrible shape? Mm-hmm. We're clearly not doing like a good job at it. So there must be some ulterior motive.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, so anyway, I went in the Army, and I was in there for like a year, actual active duty for like a year.
Where were you stationed? If you could
Korea.
Say. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did my officer basic course at Fort Gordon, Georgia, in Augusta, right?
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then it's so funny how things happen. I went to Fort Benning. I did airborne school there, like when I was in high school, college. And then I went to Korea for a year.
So what did you do? What was your
communications?
Job? Okay.
So basically I picked like the most, I was just like, okay, well, I don't want to be anywhere near the front lines. So, cause I don't, as much it was cool to like train and be like, yeah, like war. Like you're just like, I mean, it's not pretend, this is real. I don't want to kill people.
Yeah.
And so I picked communications.
Okay.
I just picked a couple things and I got communications. And so it was like a fixed station communications. Gotcha. We did like telephone lines, and it was the first like ISDNs, and we did we like maintained a video over internet protocol, like a big like fiber optic cable. Okay. You know, so they could have video chats back in the day, and this was like 1999.
Well, they were video chat in 1999.
Yeah, I mean it's the Army. You know?
Yeah, I was like they have all the technology.
Yeah.
How was that experience being Korea? Did that open your eyes to things? Did it like
the Army sucked? The Army sucked. It was not a good fit for me, but Korea was awesome. I love to travel. I've always loved to travel. And so that was cool. It was really cool meeting the Korean people, learning a little bit about the language, traveling around. My brother and my good friend Marty came over to visit me, and we like got a Jeep and like drove all around. And that was incredible. Cool. Korea is incredible, and the food is so great, and the people. There's this one like family that like took me in. I don't know why I feel pressure to get to some like rush this moment to get to some future.
Oh no, it's okay.
Isn't that funny? I met this one family, the Kims, and they had this. It was so funny because it was called Fuji, like the Fuji film, and it was even the same colors. And but they had like a little Korean restaurant. They kind of took me in, and if you guys are out there, hit me up. I don't know how to find you. Because they gave me the email, but I hit him up one time and it was like weird, and maybe I'll try to. Kim Sung Yoon and Eun Jin. Yeah, Sung Yoon and Eun Jin were were the kids' names, and they, you know, I would just take to the kids. And I remember one time I took them to like this little haunted house, like one of those like super like local like fair type permanent fairground kind of things like you would have like at a park here, and it was like a very like haunted house, and their mom was like, oh, you took them to the haunted house, and they were like so scared. It was funny, but we hung out quite a bit, and I befriended them, and they befriended me. I don't know how you say that, and it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome experience.
Traveling, where have you been out of the country?
So cool. So before, when I was in college, I went to Spain, and then after I went to college, I went back to Spain with my brother. We stayed for like a month, and I think we visited Portugal in that time too. And then I went to Korea, and then after about 4 years at Universal Studios, I did a world tour, and we went to New Zealand for 6 weeks, Australia for 6 weeks. We went to Singapore. We went to Thailand for 3 weeks, which was like...
I had a friend that went to Thailand. He lived there for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it was incredible.
He's like, it's wild in a fun way.
So amazing. And yeah, it's great. I mean, what do they call it? Southeast Asia? Yeah, Southeast Asia is really nice. Like I heard Vietnam is incredible. And
I had a friend that went.
Yeah. I think Jason Vendries went too.
Really? What?
I think so. Yeah. And he's a cool dude. We know each other from Universal. So anyway, back to and then the second leg of the tour, we went to a bunch of places too. We went to England for 6 weeks. We went to Scotland. We went to Wales. We went to Holland for 4 weeks. We had a week off in Amsterdam, bro.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
I mean, it was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
I definitely like tripped my balls off, like farther than I've ever gotten, like several times. And you're like, and this was well past my drug days.
Yeah.
My period of drug days were very short. Basically a little bit my junior year, and by the end of my senior year I was just like, I joined the army, so I couldn't do it. Right. And then once I got back from the army, I couldn't smoke weed anymore. It made me super paranoid. And then, but when I was getting out of the army, I was just like, because it takes forever to do anything in the army. So I got an early out, right? I went to my captain. I was like, I hate this. She's like, yeah, I totally agree. I think you're awesome. You're not a good fit for the army. You're just miserable. And I was just like, yeah. And I think things happen for a reason. But
for sure, absolutely.
Yeah. No. But I was sitting here writing down all the things I wanted to do. So I was just like, I'd love to try stand-up comedy. So fun.
Oh, have you done stand-up comedy?
Yeah.
Bro, because I'm in the process of...
Nice.
I've been saying this for months, but I'm in the process of like putting stuff down so I can start writing. And I'll talk to you a little bit about it later. But like, oh my gosh, how was your experience with that?
Oh, really awesome.
Nice.
That's why I'm an actor.
Oh, really? Okay, we're gonna get to that. But like, is that how it goes now? Like, go ahead. Like, free flow,
cool.
bro.
Yeah.
Free flow.
So I got out of the army. I went back to Orlando because we still had a bunch of friends. My brother went to Rollins College.
Okay.
And that was sort of in Winter Park, which is like the greater Orlando area, they call it. So it'd be like the equivalent of like Brookhaven. That's where Rollins would be. The second time I brought up I like Brookhaven. It's nice. It's nice.
I just recently started going around that area.
Yeah.
My girlfriend used to live over there.
Yeah.
And she went to Oglethorpe or Oglethorpe?
Oglethorpe, yeah.
Yeah.
My cat sitter from Orlando went there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So I've just been, and it's right next to Chamblee, and I love Chamblee. So I've been like branching into
Chamblee's like growing a lot, right?
It is. Yeah. I'm actually looking at possibly moving over there next year.
Yeah.
But it's a really nice area now.
Brookhaven's two of my good friends lived over in Dunwoody. So the first sort of area I got to know, because I stayed with them every time Jesse, actually, the studio owner, and Hakeem.
I haven't seen or heard about him in forever. Is he okay?
Yeah. I haven't talked to Hakeem in a long time. But yeah, we go way back.
Nice. That's what's up. That is what's up.
Yeah. He's a real good dude. He's a solid dude. It's funny because a lot of times I'll be editing something, I'll be showing something, and I'll be like, oh, Hakeem taught me this. And so I would stay with them every time I came to town, coming back and forth 3 years, and I got to know the area because I'd be like, oh, let me go to LA Fitness, let me like sort of branch out into Atlanta. And so I came back from the army, got a job in Orlando at the place called the Powerhouse Cafe, and then I was the goal was like, I think I want to be a teacher, so So I started substitute teaching, and I was working at the Powerhouse Cafe, and then I passed this place called the Stardust Cafe. It's been there a while in Orlando, and it's like a coffee shop and stuff, and it's like transitioned to like a cool little bar area now too, but it was just a coffee shop then, and they had an open mic night, and it was February 12th, 2000, and I think there's a little bit of destiny. Sometimes I think we literally have no control of anything. We just think we do, and like that's sort of the fun of life, and we're actually just the observer, like watching things unfold. So I don't know exactly how it works, but anyway, I went there, told a bunch of like ridiculous jokes. Girls were getting up being like telling poems about butterflies, and I was just like, yo, when I was in fucking Korea, like fucking like, I have a foul mouth, bro. I work construction. Like I was out there like, oh, fucking pussy and shit, and like, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Like being a dude. And it went back the next week, and the guy who hosted it, whose name evades, Jesse, actually, ironically, was just like, yeah, right, isn't it funny? I'm surrounded by Jesse. He was like, I went back the next week just to watch. He was like, you should come back. I was like, really? I was like, I don't, I'm talking about blowjobs and stuff. Like, I don't know if this is the right, like the right venue or something for this. He's like, no, it's good. And he said, yeah, you should come back. And so I did it. I did that for like 3 months. And I went to a couple other venues. There's a guy named Dean Napolitano. He does some stuff in town too. He's a big comedian, working for a long time. And I went to like the comedy something bonkers comedy club in Altamont. I like went one time to like a real comedy club that wasn't like I guess what they would call the alt scene now.
Okay.
Like coffee shops and like the place by UCF would be like the alt scene now,
Okay.
which is like it's like more of like entertain. It's not like, oh, I want to hear some guy talk about how big his dick is. It's like, it's like more college, more intellectual, more like, like more intellectual, I would say, more like sensitive. And I went to Bonkers and it was just like they were assholes. The comedians were assholes to each other. They treated each other like shit. They were sitting there like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a job to them. And they were at work and it was a very toxic environment. I was just like, I'm good.
So how long did you do that before?
3 months, and then I took in the meantime, 3 months, and then I was just like, cool, I need to take a class. So I took a SAT comedy lab. I took like an improv class.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, cool, I need to figure out how to make money at this. So I was working at Icon. Okay. Man, I've had such a rich life. Sometimes I think I'm boring now because back in the day was so much more. So I basically substitute taught.
Okay.
They offered me a position as a Spanish teacher because I speak Spanish, right?
Very nice.
Spanish, English, Portuguese, right? A little bit of Russian, a little bit French, right? I can fake Russian and French pretty good.
That's awesome.
Thanks. And doing comedy this whole time as I was substitute teaching. The first Friday I taught, I was like laying down in my room and I didn't have a mattress at the time because I just didn't have one. And me and my brother were both very like spiritual and very sort of like minimalist at the time. Okay. So I didn't have a mattress. I was like, I don't need a mattress. They don't have mattresses in Korea. They sleep on the floor. Right. On this floor with like a little wooden thing that they like straw thing almost that they roll out, or they did at the time. Yeah. And I came home and lay on the floor on Friday night. I was just like, oh no, this is not right. One thing the Army showed me is like anytime you're in a situation where you feel it's like not right for you, I recognize the situation instantly. At a party, with a girl, on a set, or anytime a situation I'm just like, no, this is not right. This doesn't feel right. So that's like the best gift the Army could have given me. So when that finished, I took a trip to go see my cousin in California.
Cool.
And went to a music festival with her. Took acid. Just like, I gotta go with these guys. I left with like some dudes. This guy, super cool guy. Everybody's real different. Went to another place to go see Bob Dylan play.
Oh, what?
Yeah. And took acid again. Didn't really affect me. You can't take acid 2 nights in a row. It just doesn't. You know what I mean? It's like getting hammered one night, like hammered, and then going the next night, you're like, you're not, it ain't probably gonna, unless you really, you're a career drinker, it's probably not. So, I came back, and then, anyway, eventually I came back. It was like a birthday. I missed, I was just gonna walk the earth. I literally, like, threw out my wallet, got rid of everything. I just had a bag. Nice. Slept and left the festival. I was just like, no, I've got it wrong. I gotta like leave everything, right? But I did see Bob Dylan from here to like, I'd say 3 times the distance of the wall.
Oh, that's
close,
pretty
bro.
Cool. That's pretty
in a barn
cool.
In Oregon.
That's pretty fucking cool.
And then I walked that night because we were in like Medford, and I walked to like wherever the next place was, and so many stars in Oregon, bro. So many stars. Like, ridiculous. People don't know how many stars there are on the sky, man. Yeah. Slept on some guy's yard that night, like walked, went to the festival, and then I hitched to California, met a girl in San Francisco, got a fake ID made, and, bought a plane ticket and came back to Orlando. And then I got a job at a copy warehouse, right, as a temp work. Freaking out. Didn't know what I wanted to do. Freaking out. Got the feeling every day you wake up like all that pressure, like I don't know what I want to do. And then, man, I haven't told this story in so long. It's crazy. Like revisit it, And the first day I was there, I was like breaking down boxes in a fucking garbage can. dressed from head to toe in denim, like 100 degrees in July in Florida.
Jesus, yeah, that's not fun.
June, and I'm just like, cool, yeah, I'm going to figure out today.
What the fuck I need to do.
Yeah. So I went in the classifieds. I got the classifieds, and I opened up, and I saw an audition for Universal Studios, man. The rest is history, bro.
Nice. That's what's up.
Yeah. And I signed up for the audition, and I basically got a job in their character. I had 2 auditions, but one was for like the game assistants, and it was like the coveted position. They were like these improv actors, and I remember I had my audition. I don't know fucking how to do improv. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I feel like the improv community can be a little bit like, oh, we know how to do this. A little exclusive feeling.
Yeah. No, I will say I've met you, and I've met several other people where you as a person just, because I don't want to use the word improv, but like that is your life. Like that you breathe, just being able to go with the flow and to be able to create whatever needs to be created for such a situation. So to hear you say that is like, it's really cool because I'm like, I feel like you embody that. Like I see you as, you're eccentric, but you also are controlled. Like you very much are controlled.
Like discipline.
Yes, you're very disciplined. That's the best. Yeah,
self-discipline.
You are self-disciplined. Yeah. You are super fucking eccentric.
But I'm also like, what if none of this exists?
Right. Yeah, but that's fine when you know when to pull that and when not to. Like, and so within improv, like just I've never seen you do improv, but
I'm not good at it. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm not good at it. I feel like you would be. Just like
it really scares me.
Yeah,
I think it's a different kind of person. I honestly think, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way. I think comedians need people to think that they're funny.
Oh, I think like that's their job.
Yeah.
I was like, you have to.
I mean, they literally like have this desperate desire to like, I need people to think I'm funny. Whereas like after a couple months, I'm like, oh, I just need to perform. Now I know I'm just like, oh, I need to perform and express myself. I don't need people to think I'm funny nor care.
Yeah.
I know I'm funny. I teach my class. Sometimes I get on a roll and I'll just like, it's so fun to like make them laugh and like, do little jokes. And sometimes I stretch it out and I like do a little routine and stuff. But, yeah, so I didn't get the improv job at Universal, but I got like the character job. Cool. And I did characters there. And after about a year and a half, I got Shaggy. So it was like a face character. And then blah, 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 blah. Cut through 4 years. I went on a world tour with Disney.
What? Oh my God. What were you doing on a world tour with Disney?
I was doing Tigger in a Disney live show.
What? That's fucking cool. I can still see you as Tigger. What the fuck?
It was great. And it's funny because I wasn't good at it at first. So like they had these people, like we didn't have puppetry. We just went out and we put on a Scooby-Doo costume and you were like Scooby-Doo, you know? Yeah. But it's so fun.
Right, so question, before we drop the world tour of fucking Disney, where did you go? Like world tour, like where over the world did you go?
The places I told you about.
Okay, so that's what kind of took you through all those places. Gotcha. No. Okay, super cool. What was that experience like?
Well, it's funny because they hired this guy from Los Angeles who was like really good at puppetry and stuff like that, and he was like really great, and he was there for the and he did like the first 6 months, and then the thing about being really good at something is you get tired of it really quickly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And case in point, I feel like I'm a really good teacher, and I'm just like, I've been teaching for 3 years in Atlanta, and I'm just like, I'm ready for a little bit of a break. I need to go refresh myself and like work on me. And so then I can bring that back to my teaching. But so I basically ended up doing, there were 2 separate Tigger tracks. And I ended up doing, he sort of, let's say, took a leave of absence is the best way of saying it. He's a cool guy, great performer, but I mean, he got bored of it. He was just like, I want bigger and better things. I conquered this, Yeah. So I ended up doing like both roles. And like, it's funny because like, people are like, oh, Tony, whatever. And I ended up being like the star in their eyes because, and I don't mean the star, like there were talented people. I mean like a star because they were like, he's doing both of the roles and he's murdering it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because once I get good at something and I have a lot of physical energy, I'm like, let's do this.
Let's take it and run with it.
Yeah. I would do shows and come off and pull my head off and like throw up and go like, really? I mean, I would go for it on stage.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I still have dreams about like being on, we played some killer stages, bro.
Yeah.
Amazing crowds and like, It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then, when did you come to Atlanta? Right after Universal?
No, I came back to Orlando. Started taking acting classes. I started taking acting classes with Yvonne Sewer. Mm-hmm. She owns this place called ROTC. She's passed on, but she like was a series regular back in the day. Worked with Josh Brolin, stuff like that. Nice. In fact, when she passed, Josh Brolin wrote something really nice on this Instagram page. Yeah, and she. So I took classes with her, and then I went to. God, I should write a book one day, man. I swear.
I was gonna say, like, you either need to
life,
like take your cell phone and just start talking to it, and then go on Fiverr and have someone transcribe it for you.
Yeah,
like it's wild, crazy. Man.
Because I think people look at me where I am now in my career, and they're just like, "Oh, I want to get there." Like, do you know how long I've been doing this, bro?
You've literally lived a full life within this industry.
Yeah.
Like, and in so many different aspects of it, too.
Yeah.
That's wild. I didn't even know half this stuff.
And, I haven't even mentioned, like, all along the way, I was like, I did my first student film in, like, October 2000.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then I fell in love with that, and I started doing that. I remember the first time I walked on a film set, of course, you're just like, oh, okay, I'm home, whatever. Mm. But, so all along, I'm doing all these films, and then come back from tour. So I was taking like a beginner core one, she called it. I went on tour, came back, she's like, I have a spot in my advanced class. She liked me, had a lot of energy. Mistake. Should not have gone to the advanced class. Was in there for 6 months. And then I started, she had like a break. So I started studying with Lauren O'Quinn for like a winter rotation. Okay. And I never left her class again.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I'm very sure that Yvonne was like jealous about it, and like, of course, and but you know what I found as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, be jealous. Mm-hmm. That's you separating yourself from me. Yeah. Like, I love Brian Beagle. Mm-hmm. I don't care if he ever casts me in anything ever again. Mm-hmm. That's not why I'm friends with him. Yeah. Nor any of the casting directors in town. I don't need you to cast me in anything. You will, because I'm a good actor and I work fucking hard. Yeah. As hard as anyone in town. Mm-hmm. And so when the right role comes up, they're just like, Tony can do this and we'll do this and we'll go fucking kick ass at this shit. Yeah. That's why I book shit. I don't need Jen and Rita to cast me in anything. Mm-hmm. I don't need any of I don't need things from them. Yeah. Because I feel like that creates this weird relationship of like, oh, I need something. I don't need shit from Jesse.
Yeah, what can you do for me?
And vice versa. Yeah, exactly.
It goes both ways, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's like, I like to think of it as like, if you're a hard worker and you're a cool dude, you're going to be successful because people are going to want that energy around. And they're like, he's going to do a good job at this. Let's get him on this project. You know?
Yeah. So how long have you been here in Atlanta?
Okay, cool. So basically I studied with Lauren for like 2005 to like 2008. Okay. Was like, I'm not booking that much commercially because I just, they always book pretty people. It's super annoying. I booked like a fun, silly commercials, but they're like the rare ones, right? Yeah. Just like now they bring me in for like the wacky guy or whatever, you know what I mean? So I see all these people booking these commercials, and it's so annoying because it's like pretty people, and that's like my least favorite thing about this industry. You're just like,
you have no fucking talent.
Well, and like, you do have talent, but you're booking this because you're good looking. That's so fucking annoying. Yeah, it's so shallow. There are a
lot of people that don't put in the work, and they get recognized, and you're like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah, and there's people who are really good looking and they're good actors, but it's still annoying because you're just like, oh, let me guess, you're going to cast this guy. I'm auditioning, you're going to cast him. It's so annoying. So I went to LA. I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go try to book theatrical roles. Was there a year. After about a month, I was like, oh, there's no difference than Orlando. Yeah. You go on an audition and you audition and didn't get an agent, whatever. Basically took the first year to like establish myself. After about 7 months, I was like a personal trainer at LA Fitness. I worked for like AmeriCorps as a teacher. And after about 7 months, you're like, cool, man, I kind of like LA and stuff. And I'd booked a couple of things. Like I was a featured extra, like heavily featured on General Hospital. Okay. So I got that dose of like, oh, cool, like this can happen and whatever. But even still, I was just like, after 3 months, I was ready to go. After 6 months, I was ready to go. My teacher was like, stay a year, trust me. After 9 months, I was ready to go. And then after 12 months, I was just like, after seven months there, I was like, but I actually like it now. Money's good. I'm doing fine. And But I was like, I still don't want to be here.
Yeah,
and it's funny.
there.
Yeah. And so when I went back to Orlando, that's when my career started. Like I'd say within the first 6 months, I had like 3 auditions for like SAG feature films or SAG things. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then everything just started, Miami started picking up there and I got an agent. I started auditioning. I didn't do a whole lot in Florida until I took a workshop with Lori Wyman. Mm-hmm. And then Rachel Thompson was with Privilege, and I guess they needed somebody who could play a Hispanic soldier who spoke Spanish. Ironically, right? So she was like, oh, and I did it for them, and they were like, oh, it was great. Can you send us one that's all in Spanish or something like that? And I think it was probably my first introduction to the Thing Cannons.
Okay.
And then, so I signed with Privilege, and then had a little weirdness of like, am I with... Because my Orlando agent wasn't doing anything for me.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore, but they weren't doing anything for me. And it's because, I didn't get it back then. I didn't understand. I would get we were doing 3-page scenes in class, 5-page scenes in class. Mm-hmm. You're crying, screaming, all this stuff. And you're getting like a helicopter, 3 lines over 2 pages. I just didn't understand what was happening.
Right.
I would have liked to take a class about this is how you do these, which I do in my class. Mm-hmm. This is how you do these 1-line auditions. But I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember getting one audition for an independent. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm really right for this. I was like, I don't think I have time to do this. And I think my agent got a bad take. It was one of those weird things where I think back now, I'm like, that was probably the thing.
Yeah.
And then all my friends started being like, why are you not auditioning? Why are you not auditioning? So my friend Hakeem was took Lori Wyman's workshop, got in with her, started booking with her. She's like, that's what I need to do. I did it. Booked Burn Notice.
What? You're on Burn Notice?
Yeah.
Bro, I used to love that show. Nice. Oh my God. Nice. What season were you on?
Second to last episode last season.
Oh my gosh. That's wild. Oh my God. Me and my mom and my
This is the best moment, by the way.
That was so great.
Yeah. Not when someone's like, oh, I saw you in this, but when someo's like, dude, you're on that show. I love that show. That's the best moment.
Me and my mom and my older brother, we would literally wait for it to come on USA, the internet, and we'd watch it. And we'd just sit down and watch the entire series. It's such a good show.
Awesome.
It was so great.
I'm so glad you like it.
Yeah.
So I started working with Privilege, and then I remember they got me my first audition with Jen and Rita. I was just I just had a feeling about it. I was like, I should go up and do this. Booked it.
Yeah.
I was like, cool. Drove back and forth for 3 years with Privilege.
Oh, wow.
And then I came up here for an Erica Arvo workshop. Mm-hmm. And she was going around the circle asking us all our dreams and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, I want to be serious on a TV show. And I looked around the room. I'm like, I'm as good as anyone in here. I'm moving to Atlanta. Mm-hmm. What have I been waiting for? What did I... It's so funny because you think oh, the actors who are auditioning for the same roles as you are probably kind of on the... Tom Cruise isn't auditioning for the addict on... You know what I mean, dude?
Yeah.
He's not... Joaquin Phoenix is not auditioning for my roles. It's people around my skill level.
Yeah.
So... yeah, I was just fuck it, I'm moving. Nice. And the next day I was made plans. That was August. I bought a Prius. I bought a new car because I was I'll just do Uber if I need to. Mm. And I just kind of started making a transition in October. So that was August 15th. Okay. And then I was up here October 5th.
What year?
2015.
Okay. So and I got here 17.
Nice,
June 3rd.
Oh, nice. Yeah. My birthday's June 29th.
My birthday is this Monday.
Oh,
September
nice.
2nd. Yeah.
How old are you going to be?
I'm going to be 24.
Oh, my God. You're a baby.
I know. That's what everyone keeps telling me. I'm it's okay.
Well, you seem older because you're kind of...
Yeah. No, I was literally just talking to a guy from my church right before you got here, and he was dude, you've got your head on your shoulders. Everything's pretty great. You're very mature for your age.
Sure, yeah.
By the time you hit 30, you'll be running shit.
Exactly. You'll be doing... a separate branch of running your own castings with still. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Tony, it's now time for our previous guest to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Our previous question for you, sir, is what do you do to be more mindful?
I think that's really, it's such a good question. There's so many ways. Mm-hmm. People are always oh, focus on your breath, focus on your breath. I find that to be boring. Mm-hmm. And I find it to be sort of oversimplified. Mm-hmm. And then I find people are okay, well, I don't feel anything right now. Focus fully on the person you're looking at. Mm-hmm. Focus fully on the person you're talking to. Focus fully on the thing that you're doing. look at the things that you're looking at, actually see them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a form of yoga, and I don't know what it's called. There's a kind of yoga. They have like Kriya yoga and Hatha yoga and all these things.
Right.
There's a form of yoga that's literally just like inserting into yourself, into your life fully. And I think if people were just like full human beings, like, there wouldn't be as much depression, because you're just like, I mean, I'm doing the dishes right now. This is what I'm doing. And right now I'm having a conversation with son. And right now I'm on Instagram, because since I've like started to practice mindfulness, there's a great book by Eckhart Tolle. It's called The Power of Now. Mm-hmm. And he basically said that the Buddha did these ascetic methods for like trying to, like, they call it mortification of the body in the Catholic Church, meaning like to like transcend the body.
Okay.
But he said that the Buddha didn't achieve enlightenment until he like got fully into his body. That's why he's shown as like fat, because your instincts and stuff come from your gut. And I feel like I want to enjoy food. I want to enjoy people. I want to enjoy sex. I love sex. Yeah, I love affection. Awesome. Right? The best. The best. When you love someone and you are physical with them, even like a cat or a child, the love that you feel in hugging and kissing your aunts and uncles and nieces and everything, why are you practicing something that's going to take away? Mm-hmm. Practice something that's going to more fully insert you into your life. Mm-hmm. You know, if you were literally like this for every conversation, you don't have to worry about worry, because you don't have time to worry. Yeah. Because you're so focused on...
You're in the moment. You are literally in the present.
And think about how good that's going to make you as an actor and at whatever you do. Mm-hmm. Or when you're talking to your son, you're just like this. Damn, like fully listening.
I didn't come today.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you say that's okay? That's
cool. And honestly, I think that's so funny. I think it's not our job to control other people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And
absolutely.
You can't.
You really can't.
Yeah.
My God,
I try
man.
to, though.
I was literally talking to my brother last night about some stuff. And that was one of the things in relation to some other people in our family. And I was like, that person forgave this other person, but they never kind of got back in touch with them, because they knew that person is generally a certain type of way. And they tried at one point.
Sure.
But once you find forgiveness within yourself and you've forgiven them outside of yourself, you can't control how they respond.
And if you don't like their energy, the only thing you can do is be like, cool, I love you and I respect you. And when you are operating on that plane, then we can be cool. And until then, like, I have a thing where I want to fight everybody and fix them. But I'm like, I mean, that's just something inside myself. That has nothing to do with the other person.
Yeah.
I just think this past year is when I've been like, oh, cool. I'm not going to hang out with you anymore. I'm not going to hang out with you. And if I'm in a party where it's whack, I'm like, I'm leaving. Mm-hmm. I don't have time for shallow relationships.
Absolutely.
I don't have time for fakeness. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you can't. My stepdad was 70 when he died. Mm-hmm. He was the same from when I met him from when he died.
Oh, wow.
There's no change in him.
Oh, wow.
If he was alive now, it wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to change him. And there's just going to change him.
Yeah.
You just like forgive him and be like, cool, these are the doses I can handle you in. And then go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Bro, figure your shit out. It's not my fucking job. Yeah. Don't take your shit out on me. Fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at this year. I'm just like, I'm good. I don't hate you, but fuck off. Yeah. Suck my dick.
Like, I don't need that shit.
Yeah, like, exactly.
I do not need that shit. Because you have to make
but
sure.
Don't put your shit on me.
Yeah, it's not my responsibility.
It isn't.
Let me be responsible. And that's one of the things I've been learning recently is to stop taking responsibility for things that are not mine. Yeah. So I'm having to learn.
Oh, because I was late and this and that. You're like, those are all things that you said, I, you. Mm-hmm. You created that. Mm-hmm. You're 30 minutes late, so now you don't get to do this anymore. Yeah.
Like, you should have been on top of your shit, bro.
Yeah, like, and where's your headshot? And you don't have a whatever a casting network profile. And like, none of these things are my fault.
Yeah.
All these other people did it right. Mm-hmm. Figure your fucking shit out. Yeah. Don't put your shit on me. The other thing is I don't, thank God my ex taught me to like pay attention to red flags the hard way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? If I meet a person, as soon as I notice a red flag, I pay attention to it.
Gotcha.
Now, I will say this, like, there's a guy, John Machevsky, in town. Mm-hmm. we just had this conversation last night. I was like, God, when I met you, I was like so jealous of you. And you were like, he seemed like this totally cool like player. And yesterday I'm like, I don't even perceive you as the same person. I was dead wrong.
Yeah. No,
I was dead wrong.
He's come over to play Smash Brothers a few times.
Yeah, he's so cool.
Such a cool dude. I love him.
And so dude. I'm open to like, I could be wrong about this red flag, but I am going to pay attention. In his case, I was dead wrong. Mm-hmm. He's like the most gentle, like.
But that's one of the greatest things about like, you have that. And then when it's surprised, and that's why like, it's like a quick judgment. And then like when I actually start to get to know you, then I'm surprised by it. And it's like, it's refreshing. Before, like, it's so nice because you're like, oh my gosh, I got this vibe, but like once I actually got to sit down and get to know you, like, oh,
it was probably just my jealousy clashing.
Yeah. And then it's even like, what insecurity about me did I receive onto you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I even he posted a picture the other day. It was like, I gotta go to the gym right now. Come on, dude, with the body.
Well, what is your question for our next guest?
Cool. My question for your next guest is, what is the thing that you need to be happy, and what are you doing to get it?
Oh fuck, dude, that's great. That's fucking awesome.
Thanks.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, because it's kind of a complex question. It's kind of a trick question.
I think it's a good one because if that person doesn't know, they get to sit there and I'm gonna look like, think about it, bitch. You gotta answer that fucking question.
Yeah, like, exactly. I think that's kind of the purpose of life. Is like you wake up and you're like, what's wrong with me today? What do I need to do to get back to center? And because once you feel good, you're like, I don't care what we do. Yeah.
It's a continuation of growth. Like if you're always in a constant state of growth, not to say don't ever be happy with who you are or happy with where you are in life.
But those phases go past so quickly and then you're like, I kind of want bigger roles now.
Yeah. But I think that's a part of growth is that when you get to that contentment, I think there's a difference between contentment and complacency. Whenever I think I'm getting complacent, I get very worried because I'm like, oh God, like that's not fun. But like when I'm just like, life's fucking chill, man.
Yeah, because the things are coming in the right time. I mean, I'm not complacent when I do my auditions, but when I had a day like I had today, I woke up, I sparred with my good friend. I did an audition first, and then I sparred, and then I took a chainsaw. I was a very manly, used a chainsaw, and I did some things around the house, and then I went to yoga, and then I came here. I'm like, I feel I did all the things I needed to do today, and I feel content. I feel like there's nothing neither good nor bad nor wrong with the universe. Everything feels great, and it makes me sad that people never feel like this. They never had a moment that were just like, I have friends in my life who are just like, man, this and that. And you're just like, it's not these outside things, man. Yeah. It's like you.
There's something internally that you need to situate.
That you need to fix. Yeah. Or deal with. Or just accept. Yeah. I'm not the coolest guy. I'm not the light guy who gets all the girls. I'm just me.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. And I love who I am as a person. It's great. Yeah. Tony, thank you for being on this episode of Perspectives.
Man, thanks so much.
This is a lot of fun.
Nice.
This is probably the longest episode.
Nice.
I'm going to edit a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
So this is exciting. Fuck, this is really good.
Great, right? Yeah.
You can find me, Jeremiah, on Instagram at Parkour Geek, PARKOURG33K. You can find me on YouTube at A Token's Take, ATOKEN''STAKE. That's YouTube. You can also find me on Facebook, but I'm not going to fucking add you because I don't fucking know you. Tony, take it away.
Nice. Well, you can find me... I don't know. Look up Get Seen Studios. I think, take classes, take workshops, do something, bro.
Yes.
Go for the thing because you're going to be 80 and be like, oh, I'm so glad that I didn't become a singer. I'm so glad I never told that person I thought they were attractive. I'm so glad I never worked out. I'm so glad I never became an actor. People don't regret the things they've done. Yeah. Somebody said it the other day. I think it's very true. Yeah. You regret, dude. I've done some stupid ass shit.
Well, next podcast I have, let's talk about the stupid shit we've done. Okay. That'd be great. Is there anything you want to plug? Like any shows you're on? Any people? That you think are
know
awesome?
What? I would say go see this is the last weekend of the One Act Spectacular at Get Seen. Okay. And
last year's was really good.
Yeah, it was good. Man, Jason's murdering Jesse. Yeah. I haven't seen Jesse act in 2 years. We did an audition together 2 years ago, and the previous time before that was like a year before that. Jeez. And he did an audition for The Walking Dead. And I was just like, damn, Jesse, that was like really good, bro. And I saw him act. That was cut to 2 years later. I was just like, Bro, you murdered that role.
Yeah.
Like, he's good, dude. People were good.
Awesome.
Jerry Tubbs.
Oh, I love her. She's phenomenal.
Candy and so many people are great. Yeah. Samuel Umo's in it, and so many really good people, and funny and good. Chris Mayers.
Oh, what? I love him.
Yeah.
He's great. I remember our conversation. The three of us were at the Creative.
He's dope. He's a good guy.
It was so awesome. Like, just all three of us talking is awesome.
Yeah, it was nice.
All right, well, we're wrapping it up. I will see you all in the next episode. Be love, be life, be.